See, now that I see you even better, you know?
Right, this.
Yeah, that's
I'm like, oh, wait.
this is good. Gracias.
De nada.
Yeah, look, look, you're famous. You're on TV. Look.
Oh no, I I cover all the view.
Yeah.
I you're going to use for start for Friday. The Bima table.
I don't know. I have no idea.
No. Okay.
It's happening at the social hall.
Right. Because last year, like you used the
Bima
thing,
table?
like, I think that was Bima.
You mean like for the challah and
No, for the Hanukkah and for.
well, we need something to put the funkia there. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I will be putting the blue tablecloth like
Yeah.
that also.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you need another question?
Mhm.
Once you have like a Havdalah set, I know you don't need it right now, but you need like a cup of water all the time with it?
No,
No?
no,
Okay.
not to the best of my knowledge.
Because once you had the intersocial, I mean like
Interface.
last interface, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well, sometimes because you want to put it out, but you don't
Like-
put it in the wine.
okay.
So you can bring one.
Okay, I wasn't sure like if
I'm
I
not
should
sure.
put it, like every time water or not.
Did someone ask you for the water?
Nobody asked me for the water. I just saw
Yes,
it
bro.
put it down, like pull it out.
No,
It's like
Usually you like put it out in the wine
Oh really?
or in the or you blow. There's different customs.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Like
Mhm.
I thought like maybe you didn't have water. That's why you put it like
No.
in the wine. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Gonna drink water and hot water
Hmm.
and some cookies, right?
Cookies.
Yeah, like I'm trying to get rid of them.
You want to put cookies here?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe someone's gonna want them. Who knows?
Yeah, we were a little crowded last time.
Yeah.
Oh, Ken and Debbie, okay, I thought so.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah.
What's your right name?
Johanna.
Johanna. Hello. Facebook. The owl has eyes.
You're a star, whether you want to be or not.
I would prefer not.
Me too.
They usually work their Monday last night. I mean, Monday night after we had.
Look, you're famous.
I know, we
You're on
were just
TV.
commenting.
We all are. It's incredible. It's like a reality show. Yes. You're on TV.
How's everyone doing respectively?
We're good. How are you?
Yeah? I'm okay, long days,
Yeah.
but all good things, and I'm happy to go on vacation soon.
Oh, yeah, what do you?
I will be disappearing from the scene for a while. You're all gonna have the privilege of getting some rest from me. Yeah, I'm going to Israel. See some folks.
Very exciting.
It is exciting.
And your kids.
That's the main people I wanna see.
Yeah.
Others as well, but
No, I know.
there's priorities. But yes, like a few people, a lot of people.
I was curious about something. I was talking to my mom today and she's like, their temple. Quiet suburb of Burlingame in California. They like added security. I was just wondering how we feel about that.
Oh, I just know that if something happens, you're gonna protect me.
Sure,
I think you're very clear.
I've got a good side.
I don't know that we need, I don't need it, I don't know that we need, I think we have security.
Yeah.
I think that we're always safe and we're never safe, and we're not gonna stop coming to Jewish spaces because there's some crazy people in there.
No.
I mean, where is safe? Right, so everywhere is safe, nowhere safe, we're good. And and there's also, there are people in Rochester and the Federation and the police and there's intelligence, and it's not like we're completely oblivious.
Yeah.
Not that I want you to know that, to think that like you're complete, like that everything you're 100% safe, because we're ill.
No.
But there will, if there were like, if there was any reason to think that that we need to intensify our security, they probably would tell us, and they haven't.
Oh, okay.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's good that they're looking out for us.
we know that some people don't like the Jew. This hasn't changed for 5,000 years, so
Yeah.
we're good. We have security here tonight. That's fine. Fine. I'm not worried.
Oh, you're needing. Well, it's nice to see online that you guys had a good turnout for your Israeli party.
Was that mine?
It was on sign.
Oh, it was
On Instagram.
Yeah, we had a lot of people, and interestingly enough, many of them were people with very young children.
Yeah.
A lot of children.
So, and I think, for example, and just for the record, one of them asked me, how's our Hebrew school? If they could join our Hebrew school. And that's a family where the mom is actually from, in other words, some of the portfolio of the Israelis is an Israeli spouse and a local American. So it's not, so in other words, that people will be more likely to culturally also ask about our Hebrew school. And I think if we're wise, we should, like, we're thinking, where can we get young families? Oh, here we easily get young families if we just open that space for them and let it be a Hebrew space for a while. And even just let them be. Not try to immediately like immerse them, just let them be like for a year. Do their thing, their songs, their food, their language, which is also my language, other half, but you see what, how are you? And then and naturally we will get some of them to like, will naturally happen. So I think the temple would be wise to invest in that. And it was really good vibes, and I could feel the thirst. I saw all the like I saw all the kids like gathered around me to light the candles, and the parents are singing like the Israeli Hanukkah songs. They're a little bit different than the American one, but you see the thirst to hear that song. All right, and just simple. I just play the guitar. I don't have to think about it. It's okay. And then the kindergarten song, right? And then just everybody chatting and talking, and also very interesting to see that families are still coming. Some of them only came to Rochester a few months ago. Yeah, for residencies, people are, there is a wave of immigration out of Israel.
Yeah.
What's that? Rami Katz, I know, but he wasn't there. But you see, Rami Katz has been here for years. And he's very well established here, and some of those people, he doesn't necessarily need us, if he needs us, he doesn't know. Right, but some people who are new and, yeah, you should.
Yeah.
I try to invite him to a couple of things, he might show up, but you see, like, some people are. People who have been here for 20 years, 25 years, but the people who are new off the boat kind of nuts. I want to, I mean, if we could answer their needs in a way. I would invest in the same way that we invest in our 20s and 30s and middlers to a degree, but, well, the middlers kind of like invest in themselves, I don't, right, but. They need less chaperone, but, well, it's just, yeah, it's just, I mean, the middlers are strong for people, like a lot of us are in it, right? We
Yeah.
just don't need to, we just need to come together and.
Yeah.
But like the Israelis, I would be conscious, like make a conscious effort. And you know, in some ways, like. This is a wave of immigration, it's still a result of a habit that's happening there. You know, we should, like, some of those people are like. I wouldn't say refugees exactly, but half,
So we're taking.
you know what I mean, it's kind of like, these people left a like tormented country.
Yeah.
You know, like, we should, and if we're wise, we'd open our heart to, you know, our home to them. And let them use our space and allocate like some of the rabbi's time, you know what I mean? Yeah, so this was very good. It was very good. So, yeah, let's have more, I think maybe I'm for it, to another one.
Maybe they wanna come to one of our.
What's that?
Yeah, I wanna come to one of our meetings there.
But you have, but I think you should wait for that. See what I mean? Give them some time, because the share wants to get to. You know what I mean? Give them- Let them always stay in the space and build their own work. And I think it'll happen organically after a little while. Hello. How's something for you? Oh, now, what is it for you? Yay! Cool, thank you.
Let me make anything, you like,
Did you make it?
no, I got it from a bakery in the town of New York, called, Our Daily Bread.
Our daily bread.
They're gluten-free kosher deli, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shadow, New York, where do you have?
Near Alden.
South of Office, I reported my hometown.
Oh, cool.
I went there for the weekend to see my parents and celebrate the holidays.
All right, well, I will, give it a try. Thank you. Very nice of you. How was your request? All the way talking about the number.
Yeah, well, I never really got, or I lost, I suppose, I didn't know at one point.
Yeah.
Lost everything after 10, so
Yeah,
getting that back.
Yeah, that's good. There are numbers after this, like, there are numbers after 10, right?
Teaching kindergarten today because there's none.
Yeah. Where do you teach the kid? Oh, in the. Yeah. All right, so let's admit Nancy to the madhouse. See how I wore a tie just in honor of all of you? Yeah, we had a candle lighting at the Monroe County today,
Oh, really? Okay.
so we had to dress up. Be presentable. So it's very nice of the county executive to do that.
The event, well, I was gonna come help out tonight.
Yeah, it's a
You're like-
very short event, you know, it ain't over until the hill applies, so. That's a rule of thumb, it all has to.
Candles, so he's gonna light them there, that's good, because I couldn't get him to stick in, I was too frustrated.
Hi Nancy and Ron, I'm putting you on mute. Or you should.
Hi. Hey, Rabbi.
Hi there, Ron. Here. Yeah.
Yeah, groups should come and help out.
Yeah.
They were like,
Well,
well,
You mean for the worship event? Yeah, so your father was there, he actually said a couple of words and helped light the candle, which I thought was good. Cause it's like, oh yeah, we're. And the committee is welcome. Yeah, that's good, and they were fine, they really, it also really wasn't a complicated event, but yeah, it's good, thank you for willing, I mean, I'm hoping in the future there will be more of them. People come to show up.
yeah.
my son Rakia was hired to do the youth. Like he was like guiding the
Fancy.
no, that's what it was. He was doing like their it was paid. Arts, perhaps, this, that. Was good. Like he had a place there too, you know?
Yeah.
Going back there. Really, you're out there.
I'm looking forward to.
All in. Must be volunteer, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was talking about staying for the, yeah, so.
Never make, never.
Yeah. Sometimes you would have,
That's a insurance.
not exactly, not exactly. Contract. Opposite.
Oh, I'm fine.
The power of the-
Perfect.
But I shouldn't like.
Yeah, I know you and the
Must be.
I'm impressed.
Well. But it's capital.
I'm so impressed.
It really matters.
You know, you want to put that over that I said, it wasn't.
Oh.
But I think that we just.
We'll see, I think he needs to like finish high school.
I guess.
We were.
No, it's fine.
Hey, so welcome everyone. I'm wondering if I need the mic. I think it's helpful, right? Because then it's a big room. We can start with it and then maybe we'll see later on how it goes if we give it a little rest. And also people that are on Zoom, you might be able to tell me if it's helpful to you to hear me better. So welcome to our third class in a row in this series of the journeys of the soul, where we try to explore the journeys of our soul, I guess, from a Kabbalistic, Jewish Kabbalistic spiritual perspective. The housekeeping that I have is that we, by the end of this class, we will have met for 3 weeks. Then we will not be meeting for 3 weeks, and then we'll reconvene for another 3 weeks. So if you wish, 3-3, the way to remember it is 3-3-3. For the reason that I am traveling to Israel, and I'll only be coming back January 9th. So the class after that will reconvene. Your souls will be journeying without me for a while, and that's fine because you've been doing that for most of your life, and you seem to be okay. So I'm not all that worried. I'll give you some time to digest the information, and then we'll have we'll have another whole section for this. And also maybe just mark in your calendar. We'll be going all the way through then we'll be going all the way to January 28th with this class. Just don't forget about us, okay? Like sometimes it's hard for people to come back. So there'll be a break, and then we'll reconvene when I return from the Middle East. All right. Yeah, so that's kind of like the housekeeping announcement. The other announcement that I have to make is that we are in Hanukkah. So I thought that we could light some candles How many of you were here last year when I taught the class about the different levels of the soul according to the candles? Any of you? All right, so that's good. So it actually is an activity that corresponds with our topic. So we're very fortunate that it's Hanukkah. So what I want to do with you today is I want to start with a Hanukkah candle lighting, but go into the Kabbalistic aspect of the symbolism of the flickering candle as kind of like a diagram of our body and soul in its different parts. It's pretty cool. So you'll never, I'm warning you that you'll never think about Hanukkah the same way again, right? And that's actually an important thing to understand about Kabbalah, that all the Jewish rituals that we do, they have another level to them, which is a Kabbalistic spiritual level. That if you know about it, then Judaism becomes a whole different thing or additional thing. So hopefully that'll be helpful to you right here, and you'll be able to practice it at home, not only, because we light candles not just on Hanukkah, right? Just learn how as well. So in order to experience the full effect of this exercise, we will need to be turning off the lights. So does anybody care to flick the light off? Yeah. To achieve a level of darkness. Let's see how dark it can get without us going all the way to the corridor. Yeah, can we kill that light as well? Yeah, I think.
Too dark?
No, maybe not even dark. Maybe you want to even close that door so that we're really be in a Kabbalistic cave in the Galilee or in the mountains of Spain somewhere. Yeah, you're in the right place. We're just doing some magic here. Right, so let us light the candles together. So I'm gonna light, so how many, yeah, the people on Zoom, the reason why you see the darkness is because you can hear me though, right? So how many candles do we light in Hanukkah? How many? Who knows? You all know. Well, total 9. Well, 8. And then there's the shamash, right, which is the 9th one. But actually, there's a 10th one, which is the 10th one. The person who uses the shamash to light the other 8, right? So in a way, that kind of corresponds to the 10 sephirot, the 10 Kabbalistic emanation of the divine. The first one being the mysterious one, the one that is beyond what you can perceive, right? So, but that is actually the person lighting the candle, which is the source of it all, right? So even though you can come in, let them in, they didn't know someone's trying to get in. Yeah, come in. We're just having a little spooky party here, an ancient Kabbalistic ritual in the dark, right? So tonight we're actually only lighting 4. We're halfway through, right? So here we are. We're gonna light the shamash. And it's good to turn off the electricity because we have too much light pollution in our lives, right? We're originally people lit the Chanukiah. That's more or less what they had. Right? That's what they had. They didn't have a lot of light around it. So the effect of how the ancients experienced Hanukkah or Shabbat is more like the way we are now, without all the electricity around us. Right, so people would light Shabbat candles because that would give them some light. Otherwise, in regular days, the sun would set and they would go to sleep because there was no light, right? So on Shabbat, you light 2 candles, you can actually have some quality time with your family. See what I mean? Candlelight oil was expensive, right? So we are very spoiled when it comes to energy and light in the darkness. Hi, you came to the right place. We're just doing this thing. So you're welcome to light with me. Which melody you guys use? Baruch atah Adonai, Baruch atah Adonai. This one? Second one? Okay, there's a lot of melody. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shisani sim lavotenu limotenu bayamim hahem bazeman hazeh. So from a Kabbalistic perspective, it is said in the Zohar, in some part that we won't be reading today, actually prepared a different text for you, but we can start with this and see how it goes. It says that if a person wants to know one of the secrets, the deepest secrets of Kabbalah in regard to the soul, one should look into the burning flame of a candle or a fire. So even before I go into the content of it, understanding that this is a tradition that invites us to meditate on objects, right? I don't know if any of you did yoga. There's something called drishti. Drishti is when you do a pose, right? You focus your gaze on some object in the room in front of you. Where do you focus on, right? So the drishti is where do I focus when I do anything. So in Kabbalah, we also sometimes we would meditate upon an object, and the object could be something, a physical object like a candle, but it could be other things as well. Or it could be something internal. I can close my eye and imagine a color, let's say, or a shape, right, or something. So there's like maybe another time, there's like a whole thing about colors and different things. But in this point, we're invited to just meditate upon a burning candle. So you can do that as I speak. So basically that section from the Zohar says that when you look at the flickering candle, you can learn about the structure of the human soul. Because to begin with, the burning candle has two distinct parts, which are what? Well, what do you see? What are the two? What's that?
The flame.
The candle and the flame, or the wick and the flame, which would be equated with, who can guess? The body and the soul. Right? So we have a physical element, which is a body, which also needs energy to sustain itself. Just like the wick needs either wax or oil, right? It doesn't have to be a wax candle, it can be an oil, whatever it is. So there's the wick that gets its energy from the wax, just like our body needs, I don't know, food, water, all those physical things that we need. And then there's also a non-physical element. Well, the flame is physical. It's chemistry, right? But it looks different than the wick. So right. So the parable is that the flame is our soul, right? So in this duality of body and soul, meditating upon a candle, right? Yeah, that's what you see. But then there's more to it than that. Because it's not just a duality. If you look closely at the flame, you see that the flame has different areas, right, to it. So I'm going to get into that in a minute. But even before we get into the nuances of that, notice how, it's like once you light the candle, it's like you're alive. Right? And once you light the candle, also the clock starts to tick to the death of that candle. Right? So the parable is very rich. Right? Like there's a certain, like you can also not burn the candle, it'll never be alive. But then it's not cool, right? It's not fun. It's just a dead. In order for the experience of the candle to be there, you light it, you know that the moment you lit it, the clock starts to tick, right? And that's like a lifespan of a human being. You can already see that the different candles, even though they were manufactured in the same factory, And they were lit at the same time already, they're burning in different speeds, in slightly different ways. The flame of each one of them has a, so to speak, personality. Right, and you can draw the parable in many ways that are kind of interesting, right? Like the rock star that died at age 26 of an overdose, like that's the fast burning candle, right? Or whatever, you can take it any way that you want, right? Or the more calculated one, or what one that's burning a slightly wacko way or more orderly way, or right, different personality. So right, so now if we go a little deeper into the meditation, if you concentrate on the flame, the Zoharistic source teaches us that around the wick there is kind of a dark flame area, right? That is, look at it, it says, the text, it's sometimes red, it's sometimes blue, sometimes other colors, even green, right? And it's kind of like there's a drama there around the flame, right? And that is the part of the soul that is called nefesh. And it's the one that is kind of like the drama of our life, right? It's closest to the body. It's also affected by the chemistry, what we eat, what we drink, right? How we exercise. It's very closely related to the body. And it changes all the time. So think about like mood swings, things about like walking in the world, doing different things, right? It's kind of like, it's also the part of the not non-physical that is sustains, is in charge of the physical, has the most contact with it. And like the drama of our daily life is there on a very like day-to-day basis. Above it, there's the part that the Kabbalists call ruach, spirit, which is characterized by a more, so it's a brighter flame, and there's less change there, right? The color of which is more constant. It's just bright, like yellowish light, right? That is the kind of like the higher faculties of our being. It's less, ideally less affected by the drama, the changing drama of our life. It's maybe more our higher thinking, our higher, even intuition maybe, right? Or think things about our life that are more constant, less ever changing. And that's what they call the ruach. But that's not the end of the story, right? Because above that, what do we have? Look very well. Above that yellow, unchanging fire, what do we have? You see? Look. The halo. The halo, right? The halo is there, though first you would not notice it maybe, right? You have to be reminded that there's a halo. And that is what we call neshama, is the highest, you'll learn later that there's even more nuance to that, but higher than the nefesh and the ruach, there's the neshama, which is the divine mystery, which also exists within us. But just like the halo, it's half within the candle and half around it. It's not clear if it's, see what I mean? It's part, when you look at it, of course, it's part of the candle flame, but it's also, you can see through it too, right? It's not exact, it is and it isn't. Like whose soul is it anyways, when we ask, right? And it's kind of like mysterious, it's there, it's not there, it's the neshama, it's the divine element, right? Where we talk about the Zoharistic, the Zohar Kabbalah's explanation of what is the soul, more often than not, they would say that there's these three parts. There's a physical, wick, there's a nefesh, which is the lowest and more dynamic and everyday kind of changing mood, changing thing that is in charge of our daily kind of maneuvering in the world. And there's the ruach, which is our higher self, kind of like more intellectual, maybe more but then less affected by this drama. Right, and a lot of time when we're saying that we had a spiritual experience, we mean that. But in fact, the real contact with the divine is the neshama, that kind of darker halo, where it's both us and not us, right? And two important things about it, and then I'll open it for discussion here, is one is that they're saying even though it appears that it's not that, higher is better, or that the body is, it's not a simple dichotomy of weak bad, neshama good, right? They're saying actually you will not be able to have, level number 4 without 1, 2, and 3. Each one, it's all one. It's all part of the experience of being alive or being a flame. The wick, the body, is a chair to the nefesh. The nefesh is a chair to the spirit, or throne. They say throne. This throne to a throne to a throne. You can't just have the higher, so to speak, levels without the lower ones. We need the body. It's good. Without the body, we need the nefesh. We need the drama. We need the changing dynamics. We need the ruach, we need the neshama. It's all separate, but it's all one. So knowing ourselves is knowing this map and observing how all these parts, knowing all these parts, how they all are interrelated, right? And then, last thing is that they also talk about the tetragram, the name of God that has 4 letters as they draw it in this candle. So the highest level, the yud, would be the neshama, where the halo is. Then the first hay would be the ruach, the yellow constant light. The vav would be the changing drama of the nefesh, different aspects to it. And then the final hay would be the wick. So the tetragram, God, is actually not something outside of us in the heavens. It's actually all of that too. So when we pray to God, we actually pray to this, which is actually all this thing, right? It's not external to us. So that's could be a little, that's a different way to understand what is Havaya. And Havaya literally means existence. Because that's what it actually literally means, all right? And kind of like to meditate upon the looks, half their life has already gone, right? Look at this. You could, where do I also understanding that some candles burning together, they created a light together, and they're also actually influencing each other, right? The temperature, the way this one's burning is influencing the way this one's burning. Right, the closer they are, the more they will influence each other. So it's not just and everybody has this, not just you or me, right? Everyone has this thing. Every human, every creature, right, that lives. And kind of like the philosophical understanding that although the lifespan of each candle is limited, is defined by the length of the wick, how much wax there is, like, and then the physical element is defined by there's only so much wax, right? And then that thing will, but the light, right, the spiritual aspect can live on and on and on and on, right? That light that energy you could put another light there. You could light another candle from a candle, right? So although the candle will end, the light remains kind of like that, but there'll be a different candle, but it's still the same light. So basically, beyond all words, this you can understand that the kind of text that I just from memory now read to you about this came out of people who were meditating upon fire, upon candle, and just kind of like saw in the candle a mirror of their existence, and they chose to teach us by sharing the text. But then all you have to do, so you see, so again, when we have the kind of folklore level of Judaism, that we light candles, right? So we turn our dreidel, we sing songs, we tell the story of Hanukkah. We can tell all sorts of stories. We can tell the story of the Maccabees, who won over the Greeks. We can tell all sorts of stories, but this story that I'm telling you now is another story that we can tell and teach, right? So Hanukkah can also be a spiritual experience, or every time we light the Shabbat candles, or every time we light the Yahrzeit candle, right? So there's a reason why in Judaism and other religions we use candles as a spiritual thing that we, right? And one way to understand it is through this kind of like secret of the soul in our life. And if ever you find yourself wondering about yourself wanting to meditate, one thing that you can do is light a candle. Right, whether it's on a Friday night or on a holiday or just on a random evening, right? Turn off the lights, the electricity, the phone, and come back to that level of humanity where at night there's so much to stare upon a flickering candle, and then take it to wherever you want to take it in your own journey. All right. Does anybody want to say something about this?
I'm curious about, and maybe, not totally connected, but I'm curious about our spirit, our flame going to other people, like younger people, that they live on with our spirit. If that's more of that, or if it's more of we're actually reincarnated.
Right, so actually, yeah, so maybe both. Actually, the text that I brought to you is about reincarnation. Right, so this brings us to thoughts about, obviously when our own wick dies, right? How is this light shared? Right? How's just like I can take a candle and light another candle with it. So a lot of it has to do with education, right? And passing knowledge and all sorts of experiences that we have, right, on the non-physical level, to others that we love. It could be our children, it could be our students, it could be our peers, it could be, right, whatever it is. And we each have, I do believe that we each have ways that we share our light in the world with others, no matter what we do, either by whatever we are, when we do in the world, right? That's a way to share the light. And then, again, there are questions that we kind of like are holding in this mini mester about what is this non-physical component that is me, and how that might be or preserved or transferred onwards after my physical body is gone, right? A possible answer would be reincarnation, right? Which we will see today has existed as an idea in the Jewish tradition, in the Kabbalah. People don't know it, but there is the idea of reincarnation does exist within Judaism. Some Jews embrace it, some don't. It's not the only option, but it's definitely something that is not foreign to Jewish thought, at least in the last 1,000 years or so. Whether it was always there or it was borrowed from another tradition, but at least for about 1,000 years, if not more, we know that there have been Jewish people who are open to the idea of reincarnation. With the text that you will see, if we'll get to it today, if not the next time, but that's my plan at least. Yeah. Anyone else?
I have some electric, like Shabbat candles that I got so that I could like light them and then come to temple. But I don't think if you light an electric candle that you're gonna get that halo effect. Right? Like I can't.
Right, so the practicalities, right? So again, there's something about, so now we have, like in our house, we have this, fireplace, right? So obviously whenever and we like, and this is also even in our house in Israel, by the way, where my previous home, that I'm about to visit in a week. We had a fireplace, and it was always important for us to have the presence of real fire as part of our life. And I think that there is something that and we're so used to being in like electricity, neon, LED lights, whatever, also a lot of light, right? And there's something about an actual fire that the metaphor doesn't work as well, right? With electric light, and B, just also kind of like yes, connect. Like we've had this opportunity to go outside, start a fire, because yes, also getting a little closer to the elements and to nature. I think it's not an entirely bad thing in our day and age when a lot of us are very removed from nature, right? Like the example is when I see kids in Brighton where we live, it's like 10 Fahrenheit and they go with a t-shirt. Right, so part of it, I understand that it's like not cool to have a heavy coat, apparently. But also it represents to me a culture that is like, dude, if you actually found, like, yeah, I get it. You go from your mom and dad drop you off, and you don't expect to be outside of the heating system because right. But it's also a culture that says, it's winter, but I don't need a coat because I can't think that I'm going to have to like actually walk outside. You know what I mean? So what if there's an evacuation? What you going to do, right? So but no, I don't. So kind of saying, and also I get it. The people who grew up all their lives, 10 Fahrenheit for them is warm. That's fine, but actually you can't survive in a t-shirt more than an hour or two, right? So it's just a culture that doesn't really think that throughout the day they will actually have to be outside, right? So, but coming back to this, I think if we can create opportunities for ourselves when we are more connected to the elements such as fire or water or air or earth, we kind of like get close to a somewhat simpler reality that can help us reconnect to different parts of ourselves that are sometimes, on the one hand, our technology is wonderful. We're very evolved and advanced creatures, I believe, thanks to our technology. It's not a judgment thing, not a bad thing, not negative. It's actually positive. It allows us to function and learn and advance, and it's all great. But to balance, sometimes turn off that light, right? It could be also help us to kind of like tune in, turn in, and connect to different parts of our existence. So I don't know what you're going to do with your Shabbat candles, and will there be electricity, or you can come back and light. We're Reformed; we're allowed to actually light candles, right? Or you can maybe find candles that just burn longer. That exists too. You can find candles that burn like all through the night. Real candles. Find solutions. There are solutions. Yeah. Any other thoughts about this?
So tell us a little bit about the Yorkshire candle. Is there a special significance to it?
Well, yes, because there is actually this whole thing that I told you about comes from the interpretation to the verse, I believe it's in Proverbs, Ner Elohim Nishmat Adam, the light, the candle of God is like the soul of a person, right? And maybe for that reason that I told you, maybe not. Again, a candle is an ancient symbol to life, because look at the symbolism, right? So when we light a yahrzeit candle, it's kind of like it's like a meditation on their soul. And yahrzeit candles are planned to last 24 hours because it's usually you light it and it lasts throughout the day, the year. Yahrzeit means the time of year when that person.
When someone passes, it's 7 days. I think.
No, yahrzeit is the year.
Yeah, I didn't mean Yorkshire. I meant
The Shiva.
The Shiva candle.
Yeah, I don't know. Are there candles that last 7 days?
Yeah.
So yeah, why not? You could do that.
Yeah. I just didn't know if it was some special.
Yeah, so so again, all the customs of Shiva, etc., have to also all have Kabbalistic significances, right? It's all customs. You don't have to go by it, but of course, that all the burial rituals, and the mourning rituals in Judaism, they have, like everything else in Judaism, they also correspond with these kind of beliefs. And we can go into more depth in that another time, it's like a whole other lecture about that. Yeah. Mhm. All right, we're good, yeah.
So you mentioned like the candle of God being the soul of a person. And I've heard like Nefesh and Ruach, Nun and Resh makes Ner.
Yeah.
Does that originate in Kabbalah?
Yeah, these are all Kabbalistic. Thank you for reminding me that the word ner in Hebrew is nefesh and ruach. Yeah, or neshama and ruach if you wish, because it's both noon, right? So there's all these again, like we saw last week with Bor and Be'er, right? There are certain level of those Kabbalistic teaching that have to do with the different letters and even the shapes of the letters, and yeah, it's the same tradition. You know that you're in the right track when all those things start to make sense, like all the. Like all the, like what do you call those? I mean, in Las Vegas, where all those things fall in one place.
Sloppy.
But what do you call the actual one?
Luck.
Like the actual 1, 2, 3 that's created, they're all the same. What do you call each one of those in the machine? I don't know. I never.
Anything?
Whatever. When all those things come together, you know that you're in the right track. All right, so and this is not, I do not advocate gambling. The whole thing is very silly, but everybody does what they want. So all right, so yeah. So Ner is nefesh and ruach, right, or neshama and ruach, if you wish. Naram, we'll get to that. Yeah, thank you. Any more understanding from this meditation? All right, so we want to turn the light back on. I apologize to the candles. All right, so okay. You see it's very different, right? Once we have the electricity in the room, for better and for worse, very different. So let me just pass the pages. Oh, that's the wrong. What do you have here? Is it Zohar 1? That's the wrong page that I was. So I can do one of two things. I was going to give you a different text. I can either run and give you the other one, print the other one, or we can actually have it. I can just screen it. This is a different teaching, which we could also, maybe it was meant to be. I'll just teach you that, or I can teach you the one about the reincarnation. Let me stick with my plan. I can also run. So if I share screen here, share screen. Tell me if you can all read what can you all see the screen? So let's stick to my plan, because this one I was planning to, the one that I'm giving you now, I was planning to teach you like in January. So why don't you keep it, and then you can either give it back to me or you can take it home and come prepared to class. You'll have something to read. Can you all see this text that I wanted to teach? Can you see it?
That's the one we have.
What's that? Oh, that's the one you have. So how many of you have this text? What's that?
On the backside?
No, these are. Yeah, what do you have? You have this text?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just me, so I need one of them. Yeah, so we're good. I'm more organized than I think. Sometimes I surprise myself for the better. I just have another text. Okay, I'm good.
What?
All right, so this is Zohar, Volume 1, Bereshit 186b. We all have that? Okay, so we're in the right page, so to speak. Literally and also literally. Okay. So all right, good. We're in the right. I got it. So I have the wrong one, but you all have the right one. That's it. Okay. So in Zohar Volume 1, Bereshit, page 186b, we find the following interesting text. You'll tell me how interesting it is. All right, everyone has it? The Hebrew is on the other side if you want to compare and contrast. The original though is in Aramaic, I'm reminding you. And it goes like this. Come and see. The Holy One, blessed be God. Again, originally, blessed be He, but I'm trying to, like, when I can, be a little bit more gender neutral here. Made the human being as above. For everything is made with wisdom. And there is no organ in a person that does not stand upon supernal wisdom. For once the entire body with all its limbs was properly prepared, the Holy One, blessed be God, joined with it and placed within it a holy soul, in order to teach a person to walk in the ways of the Torah and to observe God's commandments, so that the human being might be perfected as is fitting. And because a person possesses a holy soul, that person must therefore magnify the image of the supernal King in the world. And the secret of the matter is as follows. That river which flows and emerges, its waters never cease for all eternity. And thus, a person must not interrupt the river or its source in this world. And here from fire imagery, we move a little bit to water imagery, but it also connects us a little bit to last week's class about water and flowing. Remember, bore and be'er. And here comes the kind of like the wow part, if you know, although I think it's pretty interesting to me, at least so far as well. And for as long as a person does not succeed in this world, the Holy One, blessed be God, uproots them and replants them several times, just as before. End of paragraph. All right, so if a person does not succeed in this world, the Holy One, blessed be God, uproots them and replants them several times, just as before. So there's a lot to say about the end of this paragraph, but there's also a lot to say about the beginning of the paragraph. And to understand the end in its right context, we have to like see the whole picture. All right. Yes. Thoughts, complaints, suggested for improvement, request from customer service, customer relations department. Yes, Debbie.
I have a customer service question. What do they mean by, I mean, my thinking is that you succeed at different levels and maybe over a course of different lifetimes. So what do they mean by does not succeed? Seems like kind of like you failed, so you go back. But isn't the concept about growing in different ways?
Well, possibly. All I have is the text, Debbie. I don't, I can really just read with you the text. The notion is that, so obviously the soul comes to do something, and you can read above to try to understand what it is that the soul is supposed to do. And then it says, if you didn't get it this time, you're going to come back again and again until you get it. Maybe then there's another thing, right? But let's say you needed 5 times to succeed in one thing, and then you can come 500 additional times. I don't know that there's a limitation on the number of times. Or maybe there is, but the text doesn't tell us, right? What's the rush? We're all here for the long run. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Right?
My question is basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Lack of success sounds like failure.
Yes.
So it sounds like it's saying, if you fail, you get reincarnated. If you succeed, you don't get reincarnated. As if it's a punishment or something.
Right, so you know, so it's interesting, right? So like we all have our concepts of fit. I'll get to in a second. Our failure and success and like being tested in exams and like you have to repeat a class, right? And like maybe it's like that, but maybe it's more like don't worry, you always get another chance. Right, you came here, there's this soul cluster. Right, that comes to this, to earth school again, we can borrow that term, and right, whether like to magnify, what's the point? To magnify the image of the supernal king in the world. Basically, that's basically what this text is. This is what you gotta do. Right, sing hallelujah, that's what you came to do. And if you manage to do it, then the soul might evolve, yes. Well, maybe you won't. Not all souls in Kabbalah eternally incarnate. But according to, again, to this text, the soul might be reincarnated, whatever that means, until that particular lesson is learned, or at least that evolvement has took place. And we could put maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, maybe it's just the way it is. Maybe some people feel that it's making them more anxious. Maybe some people are saying, "Oh, so well, if I didn't get it this time, never mind. I'll get it, and then I get it the next time." Like we could have all sorts of reaction to this idea that to some of it is very foreign to how we think about life. Like as a matter of fact, I don't know if there's the reincarnation or not. Like scientifically, I have no idea. I don't think anybody does, right? But as a basic concept. Right, which does exist in many other cultures. Billions of people around the world believe it, and others don't. And you see here that an authentic Jewish text that is dated, it's at least 700-800 years old, and it's got deeper roots than that. That idea exists. Now, does that make us all have to believe in it? No. Did all Jews back then believe in it? Not necessarily, probably not. Did many Jews actually believe in this? Absolutely. Absolutely. Not one, not two, well, not marginal either. Central to the belief for many people who are Jewish throughout the generation. But it's debatable. Okay, here, you don't have to believe this, but it's an interesting idea to kind of like ponder upon, right? You had a comment, right?
There's a movie called Defending Your Life. I don't know if people saw it, but it's this really, and it's old, not real old, but Albert Brooks, who was I think he's still alive, and Meryl Streep. And concept is that he dies, and you go to a waiting place, a holding place. And you have a lawyer.
A lawyer.
A lawyer. That's the defense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's totally this concept. And there's a judge and there's a prosecutor. And they take videos of you see videos of your life. But the concept is not necessary. It's about bravery.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about bravery and how brave you were in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it be so, even if you have to, the judge decides, so I don't think there's a jury. And then if you don't, you go back, and it's exactly that you go back to Earth to live again and see if the next time. But this one is about, they talk here about observing God's commandments. Right. I would assume then most people have to go back.
Yeah. Right. So first, yes, there's many in popular culture nowadays. There's movies, there's series, there's right? The different ones that play with the idea of more than one. That play with the idea of reincarnation or what happens to us after we die, and obviously they draw upon older texts. The people back then didn't have, cinematography, but they did have literature, which is what they did, and they wrote it. Right, I just kind of want to say that that I want to, and I'll get to you in a second. I just want to draw our attention to that the point is not necessarily to succeed or fail in something external, but what you have to do is a person must not interrupt the river or its source from flowing. In other words, you see what I mean? So part of the challenge here for the soul is to, like you said, bravery, right? I mean, because we could argue, what is the parameter of success? And how do I know? Right? And by the way, do I want to be reincarnated or not? Like, do I want to just evolve to the next level, or do I want to be born again? It's another question. Maybe I want to deliberately fail so I can be born again and again, right? I like being here, right? Why do I want to go back? Right, that's also like a question, right? But there's something about the flow of that flow, right? That is part of what we're trying to how do I make that energy flow? Think about the boar and the bear, right? Having that connection, that's part of the idea. Yes.
Where do I start? It looks like the person, the body is there only to hold the soul. And it's sort of useless otherwise. As long as the person does not succeed in this world, the Holy One uproots them and replants them several times just as before. So you're just here to hold the soul until the soul succeeds.
Yes and no, but also you see, I think that if you go back to last week's idea about the bow and the bear, in order for the soul to evolve and develop, it needs the body. It needs to be able to function in this world to do whatever it is that it needs to do. So the body isn't that useless. It's necessary, right? This flame will not exist. With all due respect to the flame, here the candle is still burning. Let's go back to this parable. Without this wick and wax, this flame can't exist, right? So this actually, like, the relationship between this whole mechanism is necessary, and the body and that little dance that we do around here with the body in the physical world, for some mysterious reason, is necessary for this flow. Otherwise, no candle, no life.
But it seems like the soul is important, and it could be just any body to carry this one soul.
Possibly the body is not. Possibly the body here is really a very holy throne, but just a throne. A throne is not to be underestimated, and again, is necessary. And also, I just want us in just a second, but I think it's important to go to the beginning of the text to see how much holiness is given to the body in the beginning, right? Like, so where does this text, and I'm going to get to all of you in a second, but let's just notice that, and maybe it's not a coincidence that obviously we will be magnetized to the end of the passage because we want to talk about the reincarnation part, but it's only a part of a larger picture that they're drawing to us, and it starts with giving a lot of emphasis that the body is holy, and every organ of our body is made in divine wisdom and corresponds with a spiritual thing, right? So the body is not just nothing, it's actually very important, and everything in the physical world is related to a spiritual one. If you see the beginning of the text, something to think about. Who wanted to speak here? Like, this entire corner wanted to speak, right?
Yeah, I was going to point out that in that second paragraph, it says that God formed with the body and placed within it a holy soul to teach a person.
the soul teaches the person, and so it's not just that we are our soul, it is that we are a person who has a soul.
Right, so so the soul is like a, it's really interesting, like we had that discussion before, like whose soul is it anyways, and who is the I, who is the me? Right, is it me who has a soul? Is it the body who has a me? Is it me who has a body and a soul? Right, and it's kind of like mind, because like I'm trying to think, who am I? And whose soul is it anyway? That's like a little slogan of our court. Whose soul is it anyway? Right, that's kind of like our little game here. Right, according to the second paragraph, right, that you're pointing out to us is very interesting. Right, that soul teaches us about the ways of Torah and its commandments, and of course that could be interpreted in an Orthodox way or in a Reform. There's lots of ways to understand what is Torah and the commandments, right? But the commandment is more like what we do in the world, how we act in the world. Torah is more like the knowledge, how we think about things, like the meaning that we give to it, right? And the soul teaches us about that, right? And yes, and that personality evolves, and if it does not, right, or if the soul didn't make that reaction, then there might be a continuation. Although not necessarily to the same personality in the same body, right? So that's also a question of if there is reincarnation, what is it exactly that reincarnates? Is it the soul? Is it the actual person, like with memories and, oh, that's me, just in a different body, right? Or is it something a little more abstract, where that soul or a different like person around it that will help it evolve and develop? So you're raising a great point. Like who is it that is the hero of this little journey here, right? Yeah.
Yeah, kind of going back a little bit before for as long as a person does not succeed in this world, for me it's like succeed and failure are like the poles, but like what's in the middle? The middle is the journey. So it's not that like if you don't succeed, you're in the failure. It just means you're still in that journey aspect. You're still in that like flow, that river. So it's not that you failed, it's just you haven't reached the end yet. And kind of going back to the teaching, maybe how you reach the end is learning what you have been taught and like taking that, and then you can kind of emerge from that flow there into that kind of succeeding there. And I like that because it kind of leaves room for it can be slightly different for everyone, because it's not like everyone needs to be taught like the same lesson. So it's not just like there's no one success parameter. It's kind of unique to what do we need.
I thank you for sharing that. I think that I really like the process teaching. I think that you're teaching us. And again, we're all learning from each other. You know, this is not, we have an ancient text, we have our own life experience. The beauty of these texts that they resonate with things that sometimes we feel are like it's successful in awakening us into like seeing ourselves in a kind of way, and then we echo it. That's the game, right? We continue from where we're all meeting that text and we're all reading it. That's what we're doing. Right, and I appreciate when you talk about the journey, is that I think it goes alongside again the idea of this flow, that this like the idea that there's this life force that goes through us. It's not necessarily like external goals, like if I leave the world with $10 billion in my bank account, or if I was I don't know, some successful CEO or singer or I don't know what, right? It's not about external. It's not like a school that grades us externally. It's more like that soul came to evolve in a certain way, and that is what we're came here to experience. Yeah.
It was kind of on that same thing. We kind of have heard people say success failure as sort of a dichotomy, but I was wondering about the actual Hebrew for that word success.
So let's see. That's what I was looking at. So it says, right? So by the way, the Hebrew, I realized I only translated the first paragraph. The Hebrew text is actually a little longer. Then, but it says, כן, וכל זמן שאדם לא יצליח בעולם הזה, הצלחה, like success, it's a pretty good. But I would want to go and check the Aramaic, or something like, which I don't have here, because that's a translation of a translation. But yes, it's a really interesting question. What is the actual word that they use? Mhm.
So the author of the Zohar isn't claiming that he found some secret plates buried that give these secrets like the Mormons do, right? Well, what, is there any authority behind these pronouncements, or do we test it out by some kind of a Gnostic way of knowing? Or
And I believe you, that question of the authority of the text, I think you've mentioned, maybe I've raised it before, or is it you or someone else? Or like what's the validity of that, what we're learning? So again, we don't know who wrote these. They chose to remain anonymous. And they hid their tracks, their traces very well. Whether intentionally, unintentionally, I think it was deliberate and intentional, because other people in those times and other Kabbalists are writing other books, and we know who they were. But when it comes to the Zohar, big mystery. So one, we don't know. Maybe they found plates, maybe they didn't, right? But it's not part of it. There is not something like a claim that they say, they have scripture, they are interpreting scripture. There are fairy tales that they tell about Rabbi Shimon and his students that are, again, they're fictional characters that claim that they do miracles, supernatural things happen to them. Sometimes they have, sometimes they actually kind of channel, either let's say Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai has already departed, but let's say a group of Kabbalists would be in the room, and all of a sudden there would be like a shadow over there, and everybody understands that this is, again, the soul of the teacher that isn't in a body anymore, but it came to teach him. And sometimes that could be like the shadow of Moses that would appear, or Isaac, or Cecilia. So they would sometimes say that. But for the most part, actually, it's more like the second that you said. We actually, so these Zohar texts appear like they never existed, as far as we know, before the, let's say, 12th, 13th century. Although they claim to be ancient, they claim to be 2,000 years old from the time of the historical Rabbi Shimon. But again, we don't have one quotation of them for 1,200 years. So whether someone did them really well in some cave, right? Or they were written, what we think, in the 12th and 13th century. It doesn't mean that they weren't based on more ancient and earlier traditions. They were. But these texts, these ideas, as I'm reading, as I'm showing them to you today, they came around that time. And they were circulated in Kabbalistic circles. They were not all that influential until the 15th, 16th century, where they more or less become consensus, and everybody is just so inspired by them and said, this is the hidden meaning of Torah for always and always. And it's more that people were awakened by them and inspired by them and moved by them. And people found truth and holiness in them than like some kind of proof, like a golden plate or right. But the self-perception of the text is that this is actually the hidden meaning of Torah that's always been there. Right? There's another Kabbalist called Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, who lived in the 12th century, I believe, or the early 13th century in Spain. Although he had to leave Spain because he won an argument with the Christian authority. He was the head of the Jewish community, and they kind of forced him into a debate, like which faith is better, Judaism or Christianity, and he won the debate. So, and we know that it's so the king had to give him like the $1,000 that, but then because he won the debate, they were like, we're gonna kill you because you proved that Judaism is better, so he had to leave. And he ended up going to Israel, where he died there eventually, the land of Israel, right? Yeah, so that's his story, but so that guy who was too smart for his own good, so to speak, was not only the leader of the Jewish community, which is interesting because many of the Kabbalists weren't. Right? There's basically two types of Kabbalists, ones who are the rabbi, the leader of the community. And then oftentimes those would be very cautious about telling the secrets because they have, like look at me, I can only be wacko to a degree, right? Because in the end I also have to be like the respectable leader and do bar mitzvahs, weddings, and I say if I'll start being really wacky and wacko and radical, like people sign a leadership and say, who's this guy? So I have to wear a tie and I have to look respectable, right? So, and if I were a rabbi of a greater congregation, even more probably, if I was the leader of all the Jews in Spain, right? So there's like the Kabbalists who would also the rabbinic like authority figures. And then usually they would only insinuate their Kabbalah and they would talk about it, if at all, and then the guys who wrote the Zohar, according to what we know, they were not the leader of the Shul. So they were able to let's just write it out, right? So it's just interesting to notice. So Ramban, that guy, back to your point, he said that when Moses, when the Ten Commandments were given in Sinai, because you see, culturally, Sinai is kind of like the tablets of the Mormons, right? The whole cultural idea about Sinai is that 600,000 people heard God speak. So it wasn't just, Jesus or Moses or Muhammad or Joseph Smith having a personal miracle like Angel Gabriel talked to them or the tablets. It was the one time and the only time in history that God spoke to an entire nation. Right? So so in other words, Judaism, Kabbalah doesn't need golden tablets because all they say is that was the actual thing. So Ramban says, to answer your question, a very, very good question, that when Torah was given in Sinai, God spoke in seven different levels. Just like the colors of the rainbow, so to speak, right? And the lowest level was the literal meaning of the text. But, like the actual letters, what they mean, I am the Lord your God, blah, 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 thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not, that was the lowest of the seven, but actually there were 6 other levels, deeper and deeper and deeper, that were not literal, that people could only understand it according to the level in which they were at the time. So maybe 90% of the people only understood the literal level, but some didn't understand the deeper levels. And Moses, he got the deepest level, right? Only Moses. And so you see, so Nachmanides in Ramban in like Latin is Nachmanides. This is Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman. He would tell you, I don't need golden tablets. I was there at Sinai, not me, the teacher. We heard God speak. We, the Kabbalists, we heard the deeper levels. We just didn't write the book until 2,000 years later or 3,000 years later, but we had it from before. So that should be his golden tablets if you're looking for authority. But again, it's just a second, did Sinai ever actually happen in history, right? So we don't know. Yeah.
I'm also asking whether people have a extra sense that perceives spiritual matters. Are they claiming that they have developed this sense like a musician develops their sense of their understanding of sound, so they're able to hear these things and
Oh yes, absolutely. I think that this tradition may be similar to yoga and other things that we know, or like Buddhist monks or so for sure you can train that muscle. Yeah, and this can be learned through meditation, through prayer, through different practices, through learning the Zohar is considered a spiritual practice. It's not just learning about it. because of the way that the text of the Zohar is, and maybe you're starting to understand it, the text awakens something in us that helps us connect to some degree at least. I'm not saying that alone it suffices. Right, but going and studying Zohar actually is considered to be something that helps people at least begin to flex that muscle, because it's a text that, again, it's like, I want to write a book about the Zohar. It's called Get Over It. Get over it, like get over the literal. It's a text that wants to take you beyond it, beyond the word, into an internal experience, because the people who wrote it were kind of awakening to that. Just a second, right? So yes, of course. So the claim is, just like if in other spiritual traditions, that if we practice those, that yes, we can gradually and hopefully responsibly be transformed. Yeah, that's the claim that this tradition would make, whether it's true or not. It works for some people, it doesn't work for others. Like anything else. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, to me, the text is really very comforting, because I see it as something that applies to so many of us who have experienced some kind of suffering or unfairness in life, and feeling that there is something pure and transcendent and holy within us that remains untouched, unspoiled, undamaged, no matter what happens to the body, to our circumstances. And I imagine that is very, very comforting. My own example, I just shared this, that I had the metastatic cancer 8 years ago, and I was in a very bad way for a year and a half. And one thing that helped me kind of survive this was imagine that I had a soul that was not being touched by the cancer, or the chemotherapy, or the surgery. And that, and that made me feel that I was not totally messed up, totally dirty, totally hopeless and contaminated. It really helped a lot to have that idea of a soul that was this special. So this text to me is very moving.
So nice.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. I think that again, when we echo these texts with our personal experience, right, it makes meaning to us. And if anyone's willing to share something difficult, right, and personal, sometimes that's when we find meaning in an extreme situation, right? So who we are, right, can be contaminated by a physical illness, or by something terrible that we did or that was done to us, right? Or different people. Sometimes people feel that they did something so terrible so that they're contaminated, right? But this text will say no. That divine within you is, like we say every morning, and that's not Kabbalah, it's just regular Judaism. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorai, the soul that you have given me is pure, right? And it cannot be contaminated, right? Maybe in this lifetime, right? If we choose to believe, to kind of like agree to this idea, this particular one is not enough for me to kind of like untangle that mess, but eventually there's something in my existence that is pure. And then the valid question, how much of me, and like my name, my faith, actually continues to the other reincarnation? I'm not so sure that it does, but that thing does, right? So in some ways there's no death, right? Yeah.
Something else, even though it's this explicitly about reincarnation, because I have another reading that might be interesting about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it talks about how that river which flows and merges, its waters flow, never cease for all eternity. A person must not interrupt the river or its source in this world. And I've heard people say the 10 Commandments could be summed up with the golden rule, which would be do unto others. But this reads almost as, but first do no harm, which I think is a little maybe even more powerful than that. But then it talks about blessed be God who uproots them and replants them several times, just as before. And I think that can refer also to spiritual death that we can experience within our lifetime, and the ways in which people feel like maybe there's divine intervention or spiritual intervention. And this kind of almost reads as an instruction manual, is that God or spirituality, Torah, ways to walk in that are always available to you, and you can be uprooted and replanted many times within your lifetime. And that the key to that is simply to first do no harm.
Yeah, so absolutely doesn't, if you look in the end, I think all these texts are, I remember that you want to speak. So unless it's like your Kabbalistic meditation, I'll let you speak in a second. So thank you for that one, because, you know, in the end, all these texts about reincarnation or life after death, you know, they're only helpful as much as they help us like live the best version of ourselves in this very life that we have. Right? It's just like it's like, it doesn't really help to speculate about like the next life, because we don't know. And even if I'm reincarnated, it's not going to be me per se, that's right. So it's kind of more like a perspective. And I think that you're very right. And it actually doesn't matter. Right? You can like, yeah, we can live, reinvent ourselves, you know, be born and reborn again in this lifetime many times. And then it talks about that river that flows through us, right, from God into this world, and maybe vice versa through us, right? Again, the be'er, the bor and the be'er, right? The ability that we are a vessel through which this channel goes, and in the end, it's supposed to make us a better version of ourselves and teach us how to live every day. It's not, oh, I'm going to just wait to die and be born again, right? And also, in a way, it doesn't matter, because if you want to evolve and transform, like, now is the chance. And on the one hand, it's comforting because, oh yeah, I get another chance and another chance, but then also there's no other day than today to do it, and tomorrow and every day, right? So thank you for this perspective. It doesn't have to be read just about it's been thought to describe reincarnation, but you can also read it as a spiritual development every day. Sure. While we're still in this body. Thank you for that. Yeah.
I was gonna say the interrupting the river evokes for me the when the Bible talks about like sin the only way to kind of remove it is to turn back to God. It kind of evokes the go with the flow of the river, turn back downstream. I just
Right, so we can ponder a lot about that metaphor of the river, which is a very central Kabbalistic metaphor in many other texts about the garden that goes out of, there's a verse in Genesis, the garden that goes out of Eden to replenish the garden. From Eden to replenish the garden. So the Garden of Eden is actually two different places. Eden in Hebrew seems something very gentle, and then there's the garden. So the river flows from Eden into the garden, and that is the river of the life energy that goes through us. So then we can ponder about do we have to acknowledge it? Do we have to go with the flow? Do we have to turn against the flow? Do we have to surrender it and go with the flow? Right? But it's actually a river that goes from God to the world, but from the world to God through us all the time, right? And we can have like a whole other discussion about this like a whole semester, really about the river metaphor. And is it going against the flow, or is it again surrendering to the flow? Right? It's a whole other. But thank you for we can really look into this. It can mean different things to different people as well. Yeah.
So I love this discussion, and thanks for sharing your experience, and also thanks for sharing, as I was speaking to young people, because we rarely see young people at temples, so it's really nice.
Kabbalah class, apparently.
It's great. But I also want to, ask about psychic. There's a psychic experience, in terms of, going to a psychic and having an idea of what our previous lives might have been like. I have been to a psychic, and I just wondered about in Kabbalah.
So there were So in the 15th, 16th century and beyond, we, for sure we have, and until today. Okay, there would be those. Good. Not again, again, the Kabbalah is like there's lots of different Kabbalists, and some people would go to psychic, sometimes some won't. But Rabbi Isaac Luria the Divine in Tzfat, and then some other people who came after him, that's what he knew how to do, according to everybody around him. He'd come to him and he'd look at you, and he'll be able to understand your soul and tell you like all the different things that their soul did before, and also give you the remedy. Like which verses, which fasting days, which rituals you need to do in order to like fix yourself.
And you know,
And so that's like the kind of like shamanistic, yeah, that's those guys, that's what they did. So, I don't know, as a modern kind of like Western kind of person, I don't know like if I would go to such a person, right? Or how would I know if they don't have the tablets, if they're quacks? But culturally, a lot of that wasn't just kept theoretical. Okay, there were actual people who, right? So Rabbi Isaac Luria the Divine, again, he came to Tzfat, which is in northern Israel. I'm going to be an hour away from there in about a week from now, if everything works as well as planned. He only came to Tzfat from Egypt 2 years before he died from an illness. And in those 2 years, everybody around was like, who's that person? They called him, they're all Kabbalists already, and they all said, he's our teacher, he's the divine. Also because he taught them all sorts of stuff, but about Kabbalah, very, very original thinking, but also because he actually had those capabilities to look at a person, and people are like, oh wow, wow. And then there are others throughout history also. So yes, so that's definitely a thing in Judaism that again, some people connect to more or less, and you can also read those texts without ever going to such a person. I don't know that I know any such a person. I would trust any such a person. Be careful. Don't believe anyone who tells you. I will read you, right? But then maybe also there are such a thing, and maybe we could all be this kind of person in a humble way to each other, right? Kind of like be brothers and sisters in the path, and sometimes you're able to be that person who shows someone something about themselves, right? In a less spooky way. Yeah.
It's so interesting you bring that, because that's what I was going to raise. I also raised my hand before, because from the very first night you started talking, I've been thinking about psychics.
Yeah.
And I have been, and they connect to people who are not alive anymore in ways I know they do because of what they said. So it's such an interesting concept.
Right. So again, I'm not under position to recommend or not recommend. No. You guys go, but we do also, we go to doctors, we go to psychologists, we do a lot of things that, to other cultures would seem really awkward. Right, and I'm not, again, in the end, everybody's responsible to their own journey. Just from a cultural perspective, all these phenomena, including applied, this not theoretical, but applied, has been part of the Jewish culture for hundreds of years. We are modern people. We know about people who abuse power. We know about the power of suggestion. We know about the responsibility of professional people, and how do you make sure that people are certified. And there's good reasons why we have all these things. And I'm not telling you now to, but yes, there's also people with different experiences. And in these ancient times, people were entertaining all these ways of addressing their issues.
But there's something in terms of the human connection that keeps coming through here, and that there's this very deep, whether you want to call it psychic or not, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, and I think that not even like let's get away from for people with special powers. I think that the way that I like, and I'm not saying yes or no, go to psychic, because I'm just saying that. I'm saying that, which psychic, why do you go, why are you trying to get out of it, you know, like, why do you need? I think in a very, and also we almost need to finish this because it's like past 8:30, but I'm conscious of that as well, but to say that. If I look at my own life, or people that I know very well, right, usually. You will see that someone's life usually tends to evolve around certain patterns or questions that are existential to that person. Right, and from talks that I'm having with people, and I'm not a psychic, I'm not, right, but sometimes you see that people tend to come back to certain fundamental questions, like again and again and again throughout a lifetime. Maybe like a spiral, because as you know, it's not the same like throughout their life, and maybe each and one of us could say like my life journey in this time around, at least, right, is like this is like these are the main questions that I keep asking. My life keeps bringing me to those questions, right, and it can be different to different people, right, and something that could be very, very mind-boggling and kind of like complicated for me can be really simple to somebody else, you know, that's like not like it could be health, wealth, relationship, you know what I mean? Like, and each one of us, I believe, sometimes, and ask yourself that if you have that sensation that my life is more or less about this 1, 2, or 3 things, right? And that could be, you don't need a psychic for that. You just need to be like self-awareness. Right, and sometimes there'd be a group of people or a generation would be asking themselves a certain question, and then another generation who doesn't.
Yeah, I think I was asking that question more and I'll stop after that, because I know you want to end, but.
No, I don't mind, but I'm respectful of it. I study Kabbalah all night because people do that, you know, they go into those. But I think that speaking of like our Western conventions, we have to like strive to like, we can end like 5-10 minutes late, but not half an hour late, right? So, you know, so yeah, so what were you gonna say?
You know, I'm thinking about, you know, experiences I've had with people who've been very close to me dying and have died and have come back to me. And it's clear, very clear that they have come back. I'm just wondering, perspective, is that something that, you know, is like soulmates, or I don't know what you'd call it, but it's a thing, it's a phenomenon, I guess that's what I'm.
So look, again, the moment that if we live in again, are we Aristotelian or are we Neoplatonic, right? So, and again, if we live in a world where the soul cannot exist without a body, then all these things can't happen. But the moment that we're open to the possibility, and again, I'm not here to say which is right, but
No, I just wonder if it was.
the moment that we are opening ourselves to the possibility that this energy cluster that's called the soul has an autonomous or independent existence that isn't necessarily connected to the body, right? Then in theory, all is possible, right? Reincarnation is possible, going to heaven is possible, someone coming back to visit is possible, right? So again, I don't know. But you know, I'm open to human experience and people sharing things, and you know, I've heard a lot of stuff in my day because I'm a rabbi. People talk to me sometimes. You know, so it's more, these things are more, whether we imagine them or not, it's more common than you might think.
Yeah, no, I was asking that for you to answer that, but from a Kabbalistic point of view, if that's something that is.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. People coming to visit, you know, people having interactions with different realms. Like I said before, a shadow appearing in the study hall, people recognizing that the presence of a certain teacher is there. So again, they may have imagined it, they may have experienced it, I don't know, but it's not a foreign thing to our Jewish tradition. Okay, so and everybody may commit what they wish, right? Great, so you all have a wonderful remaining of your Hanukkah. We're halfway through, for better and for worse. 4 candles have been lit, so I have 4 more nights to go. Enjoy your holiday season, your vacations. I will be going to the ancient homeland of the Jews, and hopefully coming back to the land of the free, the home of the brave.
That next one.
Yeah, for sure it'll be warmer where I'm going. Yeah, see you in about 3 weeks' time, more or less.
Have a safe trip.
Yeah, take care.
You'll be here Friday night, right?
Yeah, I'm still here Friday. And Saturday morning. Good. It's good. We're here to stimulate ourselves, right?
Oh, really? That's well. Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Here.